How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brad, the DC Universe Geek, and today I want to talk about Superman and Lois, episode 10. Now, as of right now, the website that I use to get the ratings to see how the show fared in comparison to previous episodes doesn't actually have the ratings listed at the moment. So I would like to say the ratings have gone up yet again. I can only assume they have because that's been the trend after that break. They took that break and then Supergirl took over and the ratings were not good for Supergirl. Well, then Superman came back and seemed to have, taken some of that curse when it came back to its time slot. The ratings for Superman, compared to what they were kind of in the toilet. I predicted that Superman, because the writing is so good and it's a very cinematic show and it really does kind of keep you on your feet. And this show really doesn't have any overt social messaging to soapbox bash you over the head with. I feel like I predicted that the ratings were going to continue to climb, and that's exactly what they've done. So although I don't have the ratings, I have to assume that they likely will continue to climb. They were probably very good, probably better than last week's. But I've actually taken notes for this episode because a lot happened, and I'm not going to cover it all. This won't be a recap, but I am going to talk about the biggest question, as in the real identity of Morgan Edge, and we're going to get into some of the various bits and pieces, the steps of the show. So let's get into it. The first big question was actually left to us at the end of episode 9, and that was who the heck is Morgan Edge? Because Morgan Edge isn't Morgan Edge. Morgan Edge was thought to be just this ruthless, cold-hearted businessman, but oh no. Morgan Edge is much, much worse. He's a ruthless, cold-hearted Kryptonian who claims to be Superman's brother. Now, I and many people had surmised, who is that? What does that mean, calling him brother? I said it could be Hell. It could be General Zod. It could be a made-up character. That could be actually Superman's brother, because the CW likes to make things up. They don't like to follow the script of the source material. Or it could have been just symbolically calling him brother. Now we find out the answer is he's actually Superman's brother, but they've done it in a very kind of sneaky way. They haven't really changed the history of Superman and the origins as we know them. They've just added something onto it, which I feel like that's a good middle ground for doing your own thing. There were times in Smallville, the original Smallville, where they completely changed things. They had Superman, they had Clark meeting Doomsday and Darkseid and all kinds of characters kind of out of turn, and it really just was its own thing, that universe. It really just said, to heck with the source material, we're going to do what we want with it and just hold on to the source material in its basicality. Well, in this case, they actually found a way to not change the source material that drastically, but add to it. Add another detail. Give it more depth. At least for the CW verse. Whether the source material takes this whole change on going forward remains to be seen. I'm going to suggest probably not, but maybe. But probably not. So we find out that Morgan Edge is a Kryptonian who is Superman's half-brother. It turns out that Lara had an original genetically matched union to a fella called Tal-Rho, and the guy's name, Morgan Edge's real name, is Tal-Rho. He's Kryptonian, he's got a different last name, and he's only Superman's half-brother, but he's still a brother, even if it's only half. It is this Tal-Rho who has instilled in Tal-Rho these principles to continue on the Kryptonian race through conquest and enslavement of that race, and really the principle of resurrection was something that Lara wanted. She wanted resurrection, but not like this. Not in the way of supplanting an entire race. That was not Lara's plan. Tal-Rho was the conqueror. Lara was the lover. Now, I'm going to get into Lara's character just a little bit later in the video, but let's follow along here on Tal-Rho. He arrived on Earth actually just before Clark. He was actually really the first Kryptonian to land on Earth, as far as the CW is concerned.
I was the first son of Krypton to leave. And I came here with one purpose, to further our Kryptonian heritage.
Except for he didn't land in the idyllic area of Smallville on the farm in Kansas to be raised by a loving couple like Jonathan and Martha Kent. Instead, he landed, the spaceship opened, he popped out, coughed up all this liquid oxygen stuff. Before he even knows what's going on, the people in the UK that discovered him are shooting at him.
I landed in the British countryside, where I was not greeted. I was hunted. Trapped. Caught.
And then they cage him, and they do tests on him to find out what makes him tick and why he has these powers.
He kept hidden from the world for years. A piece of alien meat. An experiment for them to learn why I had abilities.
Until eventually he goes off the rails and burns them with his heat vision and escapes. And goes on to become the character that he created of Morgan Edge. Now, this is significant because Clark's first experience with humans was that of love, support, and warmth. Tal's was the complete opposite. His first experience of humans was one of fear and inferiority. He just believes the human race is inferior, and that's why he has absolutely no problems. He has this deep hurt, hatred, and anger for the human race, feels they're inferior, and it doesn't even matter if they get supplanted for the superior Kryptonian race to exist. Now, we have where we're left off with Superman and Tal on this cornfield, and he gives Superman an ultimatum.
Time has almost come, Kal-El. Our people will awaken soon. And when that happens, I need you by my side, or you will be eradicated too.
He basically says, hey, I'm your brother, and we're going to restore Krypton, essentially, and you're going to join me, or not, and you're going to have to be destroyed. You have an ultimatum, and that's really it. He gives Superman an ultimatum, and gives Superman a big wallop. And then by the time Superman, the dust settles and Superman is kind of coming to, Tal is nowhere to be seen. Superman goes back to Smallville, and I'm not going to give you all the events, but essentially they're trying to figure out how to reverse this entire thing, where Kryptonians' minds are being implanted into human bodies. The human mind is still there, it's just pushed to the back. And they have to figure out how to reverse it before the damage is done, before the process is absolutely complete. Because right now, the actual human is still there, but when the Kryptonian comes to the surface, the human has no recollection of what's happened, where they've been, what they've just done. And then the Kryptonian goes back into hiding and lets the human do the regular human things. You go to work, take their kids to school, play guitar for their daughter at the talent show, that kind of thing. So they're trying to figure out how to change this process. And they track down the scientist who has been using this machine to make the process happen. The body snatching, if you will. It's weird that the Kryptonians are the body snatchers. That's such a strange... Anyway, they track him down, and he barely understands the science as it is. He knows how to make it happen, but he doesn't really know how to reverse it. And they come to the realization that the Eradicator, this thing that they've discovered, which they then take, they come to the discovery that the only person that can help them is Lara. Lara knows how to reverse it. So now they have the problem is they have to put Lara's consciousness from the Eradicator into a human host. And it has to be a Smallville host, a Smallvillian, because they're the ones who were raised, who lived around the X-Kryptonite for so long that their bodies are more attuned to it. Other human beings' bodies don't take to it. It's just the poor Smallvillians who got to deal with this crap. Lana Lang, knowing that her husband, Ryan, is one of them, and she feels responsible for it. She feels responsible for the whole thing because she was responsible for pulling these people in and auditioning them, essentially. She had no idea what she was doing. She thought she was helping them, but she really feels responsible for taking part in this, and she wants to save her husband, so she's like, no, I want to do it. Put her in me. Do it. Well, Laura comes forth after the whole process.
Hello.
And the character, I won't wreck it for you, but the character of Laura is, she's fantastic. She's a beautiful character. They did a really good job with Laura. I really hope to somehow get a flashback and see how they visualize this character, because the way that they just had her speaking and how she emanated the warmth and the love that I would have expected Superman's mother to emanate in this show, they got it bang on. And I think it's great that they chose the character who played, the actress who plays Lana to play Laura. I think that's fantastic. So anyway, they figure out how to reverse it. Superman goes, has one more meeting with Tal-Rho.
Yes, humans are flawed. And yes, some more than others. But they don't deserve what you're trying to do.
You will defend them over your own kind.
They don't deserve to lose their lives.
They are inferior to us, Cal.
No, they're not. They're just different.
I was sent here with a mission to resurrect my people.
No.
To save Krypton.
Stop.
And I will not fail.
Yes, you will.
Where he basically says, yeah, I'm not going to do things your way. There's got to be a way. I'm really sorry all this stuff happened to you. I'm not going to take your ultimatum. And the whole goal is to get all of the people who have been infected, if you will, with the Kryptonian mind in the human body, to get them all in one place to get the Eradicator to reverse the whole thing. But they need a very big energy source to do that, and they don't have an energy source nearly big enough near them, around them, or probably anywhere to do that. But Superman's got a plan because he's Superman, it's his show, and of course he has a plan. Because Cal decides, yeah, he tells Tal, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to join you. This is dumb. I'm going to support the humans. They're really misunderstood. You don't understand them. I want Krypton to come back too, but not like this. Then Tal just calls all the other Smallvillians who have the Kryptonians, all the sleeper cell Kryptonians in human bodies.
Something's going on.
And they all take off, and there's an alarming number of Kryptonians that take off from the streets of Smallville and from all over the city and start flying towards Superman. That's a lot more than even I thought that Morgan, Edge, Tal-Rho had, taken over. It's an alarming number. So as they're flying towards him, you can see he's like, well, time to put the plan into action. So as they're coming, he takes off at the right time, flies off towards Smallville.
That's your family coming, Cal. Your real people, your real heritage. Make a choice. Us. Or them.
There is no us or them.
Where all the other Kryptonian human hybrids fly after him, and also Tal-Rho, and then this big crowd, and they got their heat vision, and it's like all red, and they're all angry, and it's the chase scene. Well, he flies up, goes to Smallville where the military encampment is, grabs the Eradicator, flies up into the sky.
Come on.
Begins to blast it with his heat vision. All of the other Kryptonians begin to try to blast Superman, but their heat vision is drawn into the Eradicator. where that's a lot of power to begin with. But then Superman goes solar flare. And the reprogrammed Eradicator by Lara then reverses the entire thing, and all of the humans who have had these Kryptonian abilities and the Kryptonian minds, it all gets reversed. They all fall to the ground. They didn't die, so there must have been some residual power, that saved their lives. They all end up on the ground and kind of wake up like, what the heck just happened? Because remember, you can't remember what you've been doing when you've had the Kryptonian take over. And Superman manages to limp back to the Fortress of Solitude, which in the comic books, if you're aware of how this works, when Superman does a solar flare, he expels all the energy, and that's what they said in the show. I will get rid of all my energy at once. That's how he was going to power it. Well, in the comic books, when he expels all of his energy at once, he actually, for 24 hours, is completely powerless, like a human being. And he's susceptible to being killed by strangulation from a medium-sized man that just knows how to fight. Like, he's just an average person. I realize that, yes, Superman does know how to fight. But the point is here, he could be clubbed over the head and have his skull cracked. So he's really vulnerable. So the show kind of takes a bit of a liberty and has him fly back to the fortress with the Eradicator and kind of collapses right in the doorway there. It was a big episode. It almost seemed like a season ender. Like if they had have ended it and tweaked it just a little bit differently, this probably would have been more or less a season ender. But clearly it's going to go further because there's like 5 more episodes after this. So I'm interested to see where the story goes from this. What more does Tal have up his sleeve? And really, what more does the CW have up their sleeve? Because I really have no idea where the story's going to go from here. So anyway, those are my thoughts on episode 10 of Superman and Lois from the CW. I'm loving this show. I can't wait to see where it goes. And leave your comments down below. And have a super awesome DC day, everybody. And take care. I didn't drink any of my coffee. There's actually dust in it.